Hey YouTube, welcome back to another video. Want to lesson with me? Fill out the thing down below. So, today is the Fleet Report. I've been bringing my chops back, doing a whole bunch of new things, getting rid of a bunch of habits, so I don't have any pedagogical thoughts to share until I really form some more solid opinions and etc. So, let's talk about how my opinions of my instruments has changed as my playing has changed over the last month. I have been playing my list of 3 bass instruments, my list of 5 tenor instruments, one of each every day, totally randomly. So I'm going to do the list of 5 tenor instruments first, just because I have this in my hand, and we're going to go through them randomly. And we'll do pros and cons of each, kind of like how they've changed with my playing, better or worse. So, overall grade for the 42B, my high school special, with a bunch of acid bleed around the rim and like an awful slide and all that kind of stuff, it's getting a solid B+. This thing has gotten a lot better with my playing. Sometimes before, when I was playing with too wide of an aperture, which is most of my symptom of my previous playing and why I would just not be able to do some things, is this horn would kind of just not work. It would feel really wide and blah. And that's kind of something we could say for most of the tenor instruments today. But this one especially, sometimes I would just not enjoy it at all. And now that I'm playing with a much smaller aperture, a much more relaxed aperture, it feels really good. I've got a great high range. The low range is better. It's still not good because it's got the little valve. But the mouthpiece combination of this Ultimate Brass SMP and this instrument is like almost as good as any mouthpiece combination I've ever had. Literally, I was playing this today and I was like, you know what? I want to make a video about my horns just because this combination seems so spot on that I just want to talk about it. So that's the grade for this. I'm going to say a B+. It's not perfect. It's still a cheap 547. There are definitely better horns out there, but for me, someone who doesn't play this full time, it's pretty close. And it will be changing. The slide is getting all new tubes, so might get better, might get worse. We'll see. On to the next one. King 3BF. Overall grade, I'm going to give it a B. This one's kind of hard to do because in a lot of ways it's gotten much, much better with my playing. This is an instrument that's a little picky if I played with too large of an aperture like before. Let me let the cat in. If I played with too large of an aperture like before, this instrument didn't really spawn very well. It was hard to connect partials. The low range was really bad. High range was actually okay before. Now I can connect everything. It's very flexible. The low range is really killer actually. But it doesn't have any extra special magic on top of that. So it became an extremely competent instrument at everything it does, which is a lot of things, but it doesn't offer anything more. There's no extra special sound or sparkle that some of my other instruments do have. So I'm going to say solid middle of the pack. And it's okay that it's not inspiring. That's kind of why I got it. But it is a fact that it's not as interesting as some of my other instruments, like this one. My Bach LT16M, LT16M, with a big old dent in it. That is definitely a change. This thing rules. As my playing has gotten better, I've just appreciated it more. Sometimes I'll grow with an instrument and then realize, oh, this instrument actually sucks, and I'm gonna sell it. That's what I did with my last 16M actually, because I got it and it was way better than my previous instrument, but as I grew as a player, the instrument did not grow with me, and so I ended up selling it. This one, so far, you know, cross my fingers, who knows, has just kept growing with me and has this awesome sound, crazy good high range, really easy to play, awesome articulations. The only thing I run into is the second partial, low B flat to low E. Sometimes it's a little hard to play, kind of wants to bite me a little bit, but when I play it right, sounds great. Everything else, honestly, just works. And the combination I use with both of these is my Doug Elliott XT small shank mouthpiece with a C+ cup, which is kind of just a normal, good small bore cup. D3 shank, kind of a larger side because these are both 508, and I use a 103 narrow rim, you know, something for my face. And that combination works really, really, really well with both these horns. This horn likes a D cup, which is just a half size deeper, but it plays so well with the C that I don't want to take the mouthpiece apart, and I just play them both with the same. And I'm really happy to have a combination that actually works for my small horns, because before I've had mouthpieces that worked with my face or mouthpieces that worked with my instruments and not both in the same place. So super happy with actually both my small horns, just having a little more fun playing the 16M. More tenor instruments. Oh, Euphonium gets, I'm gonna say C as its grade. In some ways, it's so much better than it was. Euphonium's always wanted to bite me a little bit. It is different than trombone, as we all want to say. But even then, sometimes I'd run into problems where just ranges wouldn't work, articulations wouldn't work. The low range on this for Euphonium is very good, but sometimes I just couldn't play it. Pedal B flat has always been a big problem for me. But now everything feels really good. The high range really sings. I've been playing very quiet. That's a lot of what I've been doing lately. And this thing just resonates when I play really quietly. Just this big sound that fills up the room with like no effort. The low range has gotten a lot better with my new way of playing. But the cons are the valves, pedal B flat still sucks, and intonation is just still so weird, man. Valve instruments are weird. I'm cool with that. I realize that. I started on Euphonium after all. But this has some quirks. Like, I think I might have a leak in the compensating F side, because the correlation between second and third partials, which should be a little bit stretched. There we go. They should be a little farther apart, right? F in the staff should be a little bit sharp compared to B flat at the bottom of the staff. That's the relationship between second and third partials. But if you put this down, that flips, and now, since you have this down, low F, which is the second partial note, is now 10 cents, 15 cents sharp. Okay, that's sharp now. And C, the third partial note, with the F valve down, is now 20 cents flat. They've switched places and gotten way closer together. So now, instead of being able to play C with fourth valve, I have to play it maybe 1 and 3, and B natural is actually even worse. I can play it either 2 and 4, which is about 18 cents flat, or I can play it 1, 2, 3, which is 20 cents sharp. So I have literally no option that's in tune for that note. I usually end up playing it 2 and 4 and just kind of hoping for the best. I don't know. I'm not sure if all compensating euphoniums have this problem. I need to actually play some more and check. But that's really been bothering me. So if you have one of these and you have the same problem, let me know. And of course, the valves just stick all the time. Right now, they're cooperating because it's on video. Oh, no, that's slowing down. You can't really see it. Whenever this happens, I have to take the valve out, spin it, put it back in, tighten it back down, try not to cross the cap, and it'll work for another 5 minutes or something, and then it'll get stuck again. But overall, some things have gotten way better, but the other things have just kind of stayed the same. So, you know, if this is the middle point, these things were already here, the valves and the intonation, and the playing side has gone up. So it's gone from like a C- to, it's better, but I still don't enjoy playing it, which is all I really want. And of course, I'm not going to be able to get anything better, so I'm going to keep playing it, just keep getting better at it, maybe not enjoy it. On to the last tenor instrument, the Bach 36K. So this one's actually the hardest one of all, because as short as 2 weeks ago, I had put it away and I had decided I was never going to play it again until it had been worked on, because it felt so awful to play with my previous face and approach to the instrument. I played one day where I played contrabass. It's right here. Well, you'll see it in the next video. I played contrabass in my 36K, and the contrabass felt great all day, kind of just like usual. It was nice and flexible. It was easy to play. Articulations felt good. And the 36 felt awful the entire day. Just like nothing I could do made it any better. But the contra felt really good. But this felt really bad. And I was just like, what is going on? At this point, I'm pretty convinced this is the problem. And I was like, until I get the valve worked on and maybe other things looked at, I'm just not going to play it because it's so demoralizing to end the day and just be like, I'm an awful player. And that's what this was making me feel like. But then, last week I got it out again and I was like, you know what? I'll give it one more chance. And it felt really good. And basically, I think, unlike my 42B, which has a pretty wide operating window, you can play it anywhere from here to here. And it still works pretty well. The 36K's operating window is like that. Unless you were playing just right, nice, relaxed, soft aperture, nice and small, it just doesn't work. And in my previous way of playing just a little bit too open, a little bit too loud all the time, off in this side of the spectrum, it just did not work at all. The low range was awful. There's no flexibility. The high range especially just disappeared at like high G. It sounded kind of weird, like I just couldn't find a sound for it. And now it feels good. So I'm going to give it a grade of like a solid B because now I enjoy playing it. But you have to do it exactly right or it doesn't work. And that's a pro and a con. Like the pros are, it sounds great and feels great and the low range works and the high range works and the articulations are good when it works, but when it doesn't, it feels like a bad trombone. So kind of middling grade. Like I like it, but I'm definitely gonna have it looked at. Maybe it'll get easier to play after it's been worked on. Also, the slide just doesn't have awesome action. And my mouthpiece combination for this, I went back and forth with like 5 different mouthpieces. I still haven't found something that just kind of does all of it for me. I have a Bach 5GS that feels amazing in basically all registers, but the rim is too small. And then I have a Doug Elliott mouthpiece that does most things pretty well, but the high range isn't great and it's not super comfortable. So someday I'll add those things together and have an amazing mouthpiece and an amazing horn. Until then, it's right in the middle of the road. Like, it kind of pisses me off. All right, next video is the bass instruments coming up right now.